Watch what happens next time you're in a room full of people. Someone drops a truth bomb that cuts through the comfortable chatter. The silence that follows isn't respect. It's terror. We don't fear brilliant minds because they're smarter. We fear them because they hold up mirrors we refuse to look into. Every conversation becomes a potential exposure. Every question they ask reveals another crack in our carefully constructed worldview. Every insight they share reminds us of the gaps in our own understanding. Think about your last encounter with someone who truly sees. That moment when they casually mentioned something that made your stomach drop. Not because they were cruel, but because they were accurate. And accuracy, when it comes to human nature, rarely feels good. 2 centuries ago, a German philosopher named Arthur Schopenhauer lived this reality daily. Brilliant insights met with blank stares. Profound truths dismissed as pessimistic nonsense. Revolutionary ideas ignored by the very institutions that should have celebrated them. His masterwork sold fewer copies than a modern self-help book, not because it lacked value, because it held too much truth for its time to handle. Schopenhauer understood something we're still struggling to accept. Most humans don't seek truth. They seek comfort, and those two desires rarely align. We build our lives on agreements that crumble under examination. These scraps of paper have value because we agree they do. These invisible lines matter because we pretend they're real. These social rules make sense because questioning them feels dangerous. But what happens when someone doesn't play along? When they ask why we chase promotions that steal our souls? Why we buy things that don't bring joy? Why we follow crowds that lead nowhere meaningful? Suddenly our comfortable agreements feel fragile. Our life choices seem questionable. Our entire identity starts wobbling on its foundation. That's when the fear kicks in. Not fear of the person asking. Fear of the answers we might discover. Here's what really happens when sharp minds enter ordinary spaces. Your body reacts like it's facing physical danger. Heart rate increases. Muscles tense. Fight or flight kicks in. Because challenging someone's worldview feels identical to attacking their identity. When you question their beliefs, you're not debating abstract concepts. You're questioning their choices, their values, their entire sense of self. The last time someone challenged something you deeply believed, how did your body respond? Probably not well. Now imagine feeling that tension every time certain people speak. That's the daily experience for many around deep thinkers. It's exhausting. It's uncomfortable. It's easier to create distance than deal with the discomfort. So society creates stories to justify the avoidance. They think they're superior. They're just showing off. They're too negative. They overthink everything. Sound familiar? These aren't criticisms of intelligence. They're defense mechanisms against feeling intellectually inadequate. Schopenhauer didn't just observe this pattern. He lived it completely. Most of his life was spent watching profound insights get dismissed or attacked. Why? Because he revealed uncomfortable truths about human nature. He showed that most actions spring from unconscious desires and fears, not rational choices. He demonstrated how much of what we call love is biological programming. He exposed how our supposed free will is largely illusion. People didn't want those revelations. They preferred noble stories about human nature, about love conquering all, about individual agency and moral progress. Schopenhauer's insights threatened those comfortable myths. But here's the crucial part. Schopenhauer wasn't sharing these insights to be cruel or superior. He believed truth, even painful truth, was better than beautiful lies. That terrifies a society built on beautiful lies. Today, social media has amplified everything Schopenhauer observed. Intelligent voices get pushed to margins while the loudest, most simplistic voices dominate conversations. Society gets intellectual junk food, lots of empty calories that taste good momentarily, but leave you malnourished long-term. When intelligent people try injecting nuance into black and white debates, they get labeled elitist, pretentious, or out of touch. Intelligence becomes profoundly isolating. Not because brilliant people choose isolation, because meaningful connection requires mutual understanding. When you see the world differently than most people, when you think about things they never consider, when you're troubled by things that don't bother them, finding real connection becomes incredibly difficult. It's like being fluent in a language few people speak. You can communicate basic needs and pleasantries. But deeper conversations, the ones that really matter, remain out of reach. You end up performing a version of yourself that others can accept while your authentic self remains hidden. This isn't arrogance or superiority. It's the ache of wanting to be understood but consistently feeling misunderstood. It's exhaustion from always translating thoughts into more palatable versions. Society sees this withdrawal and interprets it as snobbery. It sees careful self-editing and calls it pretension. Most of us work hard to appear competent, confident, and in control. We curate our social media. We dress for jobs we want. We learn right things to say in social situations. We become masters of impression management. But intelligent people often see right through this performance. Not because they're trying to, but because their minds naturally look for patterns, inconsistencies, deeper meanings. They notice when actions don't match words. They pick up on subtle cues, revealing underlying motivations. This creates profound vulnerability around intelligent people. We feel exposed, naked, seen in ways we'd rather not be seen. That feeling is terrifying, so we protect ourselves by creating distance. We make them the villain rather than acknowledging our discomfort with being truly seen. Schopenhauer believed most people live lives of quiet desperation, going through motions without examining whether those motions make sense. They follow scripts written by others, pursue goals they never really chose, call it successful living. Intelligent people represent rebellion against this mediocrity. Not arrogant rebellion, but necessary rebellion. They ask dangerous questions. What if there's more to life than this? What if we're following the wrong script? What if happiness isn't about having more stuff or higher status? These questions threaten because they might lead to uncomfortable answers. They might reveal that many of us have been sleepwalking through our own lives, pursuing things that don't actually make us happy, following paths leading nowhere meaningful. Here's what I admire most about truly intelligent people. They're willing to stand alone with their convictions, even when it means being misunderstood, excluded, or attacked. They won't compromise integrity for social acceptance. This isn't stubbornness or pride. It's moral courage. But society reads this courage as arrogance. We interpret their unwillingness to compromise as judgment against those who do compromise. We see their independence as rejection of community. We mistake their integrity for superiority. Despite all fear and resistance they encounter, intelligent people offer society something invaluable. They serve as our conscience, our reminder that we can do better, be better, think more clearly about what really matters. They point out that the emperor has no clothes even when everyone else is too polite or scared to notice. If you're someone who thinks deeply, questions boldly, and sees things others miss, your intelligence isn't a character flaw needing fixing. Your questions aren't problems needing solving. Your different perspective isn't something to apologize for. Society's discomfort with intelligence says more about society than about you. You don't have to choose between intelligence and connection. You don't have to dim yourself to be loved. What you need are people who appreciate depth, value authenticity, aren't threatened by different thinking. They exist. They're out there, probably feeling just as isolated as you do, wondering if anyone else sees the world the way they do. Your intelligence isn't just personal trait, it's responsibility. You have duty to use it, share it, let it contribute to world's understanding. Not with arrogance, but with compassion for those who haven't yet developed courage to see as clearly as you do. Schopenhauer spent his life being misunderstood, dismissed, ignored. But time proved him right about human nature, about unconscious forces driving our behavior, about illusions we create to make life bearable. Today his insights form foundation of modern psychology. His ideas about unconscious mind influenced Freud and Jung. His thoughts on suffering shaped entire philosophical movements. The world eventually caught up to his intelligence. The same will happen for you in your own way, in your own time. The intelligence that makes others uncomfortable today will be insight that helps others tomorrow. The questions making people squirm now will be answers that set people free later. Don't let society's fear dim your light.